Senate come to order. Senator Michelle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we suspend the rules for the immediate consideration of the conference report on House Bill 451 and ask that the title be read.
Please read the title.
House Bill 451, non-admitted policy fee to lead repealer on.
Okay, I need to say all in favor of suspending the rules say aye. And all opposed, no. Ayes have it. And we read the title. Senator Michelle.
Thank you, Mr. President. My motion is going to be that we do adopt the conference report. I'd like to explain it. This is our wind pool bill that we've worked on for a couple of years now. There's a non-admitted policy fee, which is a 3% fee on insurance policies that's set to expire because there's a repealer in this bill. If we do nothing, this fee will cease to exist. You say, well, why do we want to keep this fee alive? Because after Hurricane Katrina, our domestic insurance companies had a large assessment. They paid as much as over $500 million to make the victims of Hurricane Katrina on the coast whole. And the non-admitted carriers, or our out-of-state carriers, they really didn't have any skin in the game until this assessment was put on them. So there's a 3% fee put on policies that they sell, and that fee is written in all 82 counties in Mississippi. So you may have constituents that are paying that fee up as far any part of the state for that matter. So upon analyzing the wind pool, we found that there's a balance of about $370 million cash surplus in the fund. And this 3% annual fee equates to about $15 to $18 million per year in increased monies going into the wind pool. What this legislation in this conference report is going to do, and instead of 100% of the fee going to the wind pool, it's going to fund 3 programs now. 60% of the funds will go to the wind pool. Then there'll be a $500,000 payment to the First Responders Health and Safety Fund. This is the bill that Senator Carter passed a few years ago. You may have heard from your counties or your municipalities. It was basically an unfunded mandate because there was no funding mechanism in it. By putting this plan with the Insurance Commissioner's Office, we can do one plan at about $500,000 a year. If we made every county do it, we've heard it could cost as much as $6 million for them to have the insurance when you look at 82 counties being involved. It also sends $3.5 million to the insurance department, which is subject to the legislature appropriation. This money, here's the buzzword, will go to the Rural Fire Truck Program. It will also go to the Fire Rebate Fund for our municipalities and counties. You might recall legislation we passed last week that set a floor of at least $6,000 per municipality and at least $30,000 for each county. You might recall that'll help your small municipalities, your small counties, because this sets a floor. Many of them got nowhere near that much money without this legislation being passed. And then the balance, 50% of it will go to the wind pool and 50% of it will go to the Rural Fire Truck and Rebate Program. This legislation also creates a floor for the wind pool. If assessments drop below $250 million, if we have a catastrophic storm this summer and the assets go from $370 million down below $250 million, then this diversion to these other funds will cease and all the money will continue going to replenishing the wind pool. On line 120, it reiterates, and we're reiterating, that the legislature puts no limits on the amount of reinsurance that the wind pool board can purchase. We had asked them in our hearings this summer, why don't you buy more reinsurance to get the total assets increased, and they have a myriad of reasons why they don't do it, but we want to make it real clear in this legislation, and this is for you members of the coast. Right now there's about $370 million in the balance, and there's $550 million that they're buying of reinsurance, so it puts it over $900 million. Hurricane Katrina was much larger than that event, so we're going to put the ball in the court of you members of the legislature from the coast. The wind pool meets quarterly and they meet many times on the coast. If you feel like it would be a good idea to put some of this $367 million in cash reserves to work by buying additional reinsurance, then I implore you to make it be known to the members of the wind pool board. If you look at the bottom of the conference report, it's a .12. This is a record for me in my 20 years. There's 12 conference reports that were drafted on this, and we have one that I think our members of the coast delegation are happy with. And there's other people who I think also will be happy, we've made happy with this legislation. Your local domesticated insurance agents should be happy because this 3% fee, by keeping it in effect, if we had not done that, it would have been a competitive disadvantage for domestic companies. The Wind Pool Board has told us time and again, they just want steady funding source, so we feel like they're happy with this legislation. The Insurance Commissioner has approved of this legislation. The Insurance Commissioner oversees the Wind Pool Board and also has to approve the amount of reinsurance that the board purchases. So the Commissioner is happy. Senators not in coastal counties should be happy with this legislation because you're going to have a steady stream funding source for rural fire trucks and apparatus grants. First responders will be happy with this legislation, and Senator Carter will be happy with this legislation because we funded his First Responders Cancer Fund. Your municipalities and your counties will now be happy that they don't have this unfunded mandate, and they'll also be happy with the rebate program that we've got in here for the smaller municipalities and counties. Also, domestic insurance companies. The largest carriers in Mississippi right now are State Farm, Allstate, and Farm Bureau. They don't want to get another $500 million assessment after a huge storm. They're happy with this steady funding source. Mississippi represents less than 1% of the national insurance market. And if they got disenchanted, it would be real easy for some of these insurance carriers just to leave our market and say, we'll go make our profits elsewhere. Your volunteer fire departments should be happy with this legislation because there'll be grants for helmets, fireproof clothing, the Jaws of Life, and oxygen masks that they'll be able to purchase. And I believe our general fund will be happy with this legislation because we're saving funds over approximately $5 million that otherwise would have been funded through the general fund. That's the fire truck program, the fire rebate program, and the first responders cancer payment funds. I will be glad to yield to any questions that you may have on this legislation.
Are there any questions? See no question. Oh, hold on. Senator McClendon, do you have a question?
Yes, Mr.
You yield,
President.
Senator McClendon.
Yes, sir.
Senator McClendon.
Thank you, Senator Michelle, for all your hard work on this. Now, go back to the part, we just appropriated $5 million for rural fire truck.
Yes.
Will that go away and we're going to use this now?
This bill becomes effective July 1st, so it'll be a while before the funds start accumulating in this fund. And the first 60% will go to the wind pool. So it will be some time before we'll have that money available because the second funding is the $500,000 for the cancer fund, and then comes the $3.5 million for the fire truck program. So that will stay in effect. We're going to have a real nice stopgap now, and then a steady funding source from here forward.
And the rural fire truck program, is that just 76 counties or is that all 82?
That's all 82.
Thanks, sir.
All the coastal counties will benefit from it as well.
Okay, seeing no further questions, you move we adopt, Senator, adopt the conference report.
Move adoption of the conference report.
Senator moves we adopt the conference reports by use of morning roll call. Anyone object to this procedure? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Seeing none, please record all present by use of morning roll call as voting aye. Senator Hobson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I take up a couple of bills for discussion, I'd like to suspend the rules for immediate consideration of item 10 on supplemental calendar number 1.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the number.
Number 10 on supplemental calendar number 1.
10 on supplemental calendar number 1. Moves to suspend the rules. Anyone object? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Senator,
I ask the title be
you're
read.
item 10.
Okay. Ask the title be read.
Please read the title.
Supplemental calendar number 1. House Bill number 1593, appropriation insurance department of.
I move that we recommit this bill for further conference.
Senator moves that we recommit. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Hold on.
Oh, my apologies. That one has been. So I need to reconsider the vote by which item 10 on the supplemental calendar number 1 was passed.
Recommit by which item 10 on the supplemental calendar passed, right?
Reconsider the vote by which it passed.
Or reconsider the vote by which item number 10 on supplemental calendar 1 passed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Now
I move that we recommit.
Now we recommit. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Hobson.
Thank you. Also move that we suspend the rules for immediate consideration of item 12 on supplemental calendar number 1.
Suspend the rules and item number 12 on supplemental calendar 1, and you recommit?
I just, first of all, suspend the rules. I'm going to move.
Suspend the rules, okay, yeah, you're right. Any objection? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Ask that the title be read.
Please read the title.
House Bill number 1599, Appropriation Archives and History Department of.
Senator
I
Hobson.
move that we reconsider the vote by which item 12 on supplemental calendar number 1 passed.
Reconsider the vote by which that item passed on supplemental calendar 1, right? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Hobson.
Thank you. Now move that we recommit for further conference.
Now you move that we recommit for the conference. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Bill's recommitted. Senator Hobson.
And then now, Mr. President, let me take up one bill on the first bill I want to take up. Actually, let me jump forward. I would move that we suspend the rules for immediate consideration. Do we have it? You ready? I'm going with supplemental calendar number 2, that we skip items 1 and 2 on the calendar, go to item 3.
Pass
And have the
and
title
retain
read.
items 1 and 2 and go to 3 on calendar number 2, or which calendar? Supplemental number 2. You recognize, Senator.
I'd ask we go to item 3, skip 1 and 2, go to item 3 on supplemental calendar
Pass,
number 2.
retain 1 and 2, go to
And have
item
the
number
title
3.
read.
Please read the title.
House Bill number 1517, Appropriation Office Workforce Development for various activities and programs.
Senator Hobson.
I move adoption of the conference report and ask that you recognize Senator Parker to explain.
Senator Parker, you're recognized to explain.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the appropriation bill that goes along with House Bill 1006, which we passed yesterday. It has to do with the Office of Workforce Development. This one, you'll remember I said had $60 million in there, $40 million goes to the Office Workforce Development, of which 20% is allocated towards the career coaching program. As $8 million, it is listed as an amount in the bill. This also has $20 million for the primary care physician training program. And we added a little bit of language here that says that the goal of the intent of the legislature is that this program will result in a retention rate of 50% or greater of medical school graduates within the state of Mississippi. That's an explanation of the conference report. Be glad to answer any questions. If there are none, I move adoption of the conference report on the morning roll call.
Are there any questions? There is one. Senator Horn, do you have a question? You yield, Senator Horn.
Certainly.
Senator Horn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Parker. What is the total budget for the Office of Workforce Development?
The total budget, or this is the ARPA amount here.
So this is only ARPA funds?
This is only ARPA funds. So
60 million, you said?
They will have 40 million that goes directly to their office that they can use for jobs and programs for the CJCs, the programs I mentioned to you before.
Right.
Of that amount, 20% will be allocated to the career coaches, which was in House Bill 1388 that we passed earlier in the session. And then there's another $20 million in
Right.
infrastructure construction grant program that goes to primary care medical facility construction.
Primary care medical center construction?
Yes, sir.
So it's restricted for, are we talking about FQHCs,
We're talking about
federally qualified healthcare centers?
We're talking about specifically institutions that train doctors of osteopathic medicine as listed in the enabling language.
So this is going down to South Mississippi?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Senator. Seeing no further questions, Senator moves that we adopt the conference report by use of morning roll call. Anyone object to this procedure? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Seeing none, please record all present with the use of morning roll call as voting aye. Senator Hobson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we go to, that we skip the next 4 items, go to item 8 on the supplemental calendar number 2. and have
Item
the title
number
read.
8, please read the title.
House Bill number 1628, appropriation Supreme Court Court of Appeals and Trial Judge Services.
Senator Hobson,
I move adoption of the conference report and ask to be recognized to explain.
you're recognized to explain.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill is broken, this conference report is broken into several sections dealing with Supreme Court, trial court judges, AOC, Court of Appeals, et cetera. And I've already discussed and we've already covered the salaries. This also includes general funds for judicial travel duties. Some of that was factored in based on the workload issues we've discussed. It also includes $5,000 in the Supreme Court for the trial judges for software and computer maintenance. It includes for the Court of Appeals increases of $295,000 for judicial travel duties. Also includes a new position at AOC for a language access coordinator, which is required. This also has $2.5 million to continue and expand the intervention courts, general funds, $136,500 for parent representation in the court system, $10,000 for general funds for travel, $150,000 for IT equipment and youth court computers, and $448,000. This is all that's capital expense funds, and so is $448,000 for programmers, trainers, and operations of the Mississippi electronic court system. And then we restored some cuts, and obviously, as with all the other agencies, we've got health insurance, salary progressions at SEC minimum, and that's an explanation of all the court budgets. I will yield for questions if there are any.
Are there any questions? Seeing no question?
If no questions, I move adoption of the conference report by use of the morning roll call.
Senator moves we adopt the conference report by use of morning roll call. Does anyone object to this? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Seeing none, please record all present by the use of morning roll call as voting aye.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator
I ask we go to item 9 on the supplemental calendar 2 and have the title read.
Please read the title.
House Bill number 1630, appropriation Transportation Department of.
Senator Hobson.
I move adoption of the conference report and ask that you recognize Senator Branning to explain.
Senator Branning, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. President. Before we get started with the budget, I want to welcome Director Brad White and his assistant Jeff Ely to the floor. They're here with us to help me answer questions. If you have questions for me that are too difficult, they're here to fill in the gaps. By now, you should each have received a copy of the 3-year plan, as well as the book, and there's one here at the front of the chamber for you to walk up and take a glance so that you'll understand sort of what we're talking about when we get into the budget. I want to talk about the 3-year plan first and sort of how it is formulated. As you know, under the Mississippi Code, the Department of Transportation is required to prepare a 3-year plan for the maintenance, construction, reconstruction, and relocation of the state highway system. This includes paving, bridges, safety, new capacity, and a couple of other programs there. MDOT implements this plan in conjunction with Federal Highway, who dictates how the money is spent. So it's very important when we are looking at their budget, especially because of the influx of federal money, that we are very careful on how we appropriate those dollars. We certainly don't want to jeopardize any federal monies that would be available to us. And so really the overall premise in their budget is to support and provide additional dollars to bring forward the plan that's already been implemented or adopted by the commission, which I think is a very good plan. If you have not taken a moment to look at it, please do so. It's a data-driven plan. It's data-driven. It's the Federal Highway Administration participates in grading the pavement, looking at the roads, and making a recommendation of what needs to be fixed and in what time frame. So I'll move into the actual specifics of the budget. The final action on the Department of Transportation's budget is $1,426,077,673. Now, that consists of the LBR, in addition to $179,249,000 of additional funds from the federal plan that was implemented last fall. We also moved up the salary authority to $190 million to give them the ability to hire and retain qualified engineers and personnel to carry out their duties. There's a health insurance increase of $781,000, as well as $40 million out of capital expense for match money, because in order for them to draw down the federal dollars, we've got to have that match, and so we have provided that out of capital expense. We are dedicating $45 million out of capital expense toward maintenance and $35 million toward capacity projects. So what we are essentially doing in their budget is adopting three-year plan as you see it here before you, and we are directing them to spend $45 million on maintenance, which we think will roll us ahead about a year in the projections, as well as the capacity projects. Now, it's very important to note that in the $45 million for maintenance and $35 million for capacity, we've been very specific that of these monies, none of it goes to administration. It all goes to construction of a road or a bridge in accordance with the plan. So with that said, the increase from the LBR funding in this budget is $120,281,448 for a total increase from the LBR level of funding is actually $299,530,891. And let me read off the specific categories. Before I do that, let me also say many of you have asked me about the emergency road and bridge fund that's specifically there for your counties and cities to apply. That is not in this bill. You will be hearing more about that either later tonight or tomorrow. And keep in mind, those monies are they're not even displayed on the map before you, so there's better things to come for transportation. So of the categories, we have administration and other expenses, $62,667,692, construction in the amount of $983,995,968, maintenance will be $264,476,524, the debt service will be around $78 million. The aeronautics, rails, and other will be $36,154,517. Mr. President, that is an explanation of this budget. I am happy to yield for questions at this time.
Are there any questions? Senator England, do you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. President.
You yield Senator England for a question?
Yes, I do.
Senator England.
Thank you, Senator Branning. And I've been trying my hardest to come up with a question that would lead to this, but I just want to thank you for a great display of a map that makes us all happy in this room because it is a great map.
Thank you, Senator England. I do think it's a great map as well.
Thank you, Senator Branning.
All right, seeing no other questions, you move for adoption.
I move adoption on the morning roll call.
Senator moves for adoption of the conference report by use of the morning roll call. Does anyone object to this procedure? Does anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Senator Robert Jackson, no. Seeing no others, please record all others by use of the morning roll call as voting aye. Senator Hobson, you through for now? Oh, we need to go.
Which one? Okay, got it.
Senator
Okay.
Bryan,
Mr. President, I move the rules be suspended for the immediate consideration of the report of the Committee on Public Health and Welfare.
Senator moves that we suspend the rules for public health and welfare for what purposes?
I just want to
All,
consider.
that's okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Bryan.
I go to Senate nomination number 109, and I ask that the title be read.
Please read the title.
Senate nomination number 109, Desmond Wayne Hoda, D.C., past Christian, Mississippi, State Board of Chiropractic Examiners as a representative from the 4th Congressional District, 5-year term effective April 21st, 2022, and ending April 20th, 2027.
Senator Bryan.
I make the usual, I move we do advise and consent. This is a nomination from Dr. Hoda, who is currently a Justice Court judge. I do not know whether he can do both jobs at the same time or not, but he clearly can become a chiropractic examiner, and I move that we do advise and consent.
Senator, I think we have one question. Senator Barrett, did you have a question?
I do not.
Did not. Okay, no questions.
Well, you're no fun.
Motion is we do advise and consent by use morning roll call. Anyone object to this procedure? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Seeing none, please record all present by use morning. Oh, I'm sorry, we have present for Senator Hobson, present. Okay, Senator Tate, and present for Senator Horn. Okay. Please record all others as voting aye. Do advise consent as passed the Senate.
I go to Senate nomination number 150 and ask that the title be read.
Please read the title.
Senate nomination 150, Douglas Wesley West, Rouse III, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Mississippi Industries Lavon, is rep with at least 5 years' experience in finance-related field. Remainder 4-year term effective February 22nd, 2022, and ending June 30th, 2025, by Sam Walker.
Senator Bryan.
I move we do advise and consent. This nomination is here at this time because it worked its way to the committee late in the process. I suggest use of the morning roll call.
Senator Bryan moves that we do advise and consent by use of the morning roll call. Anyone object to this procedure? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Seeing none, please record all present by use of the morning roll call as voting aye on the do advise and consent. All right, now, so Senator Pope.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate stand in recess until 7:30.
Motion is stand in recess to 7:30. All in favor say aye. All opposed no. Ayes have it. Ayes have it.
Wilson.
Senate come to order. Senator Hobson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that we go to item 32 on the supplemental calendar number 2 and have the title read.
Please read the title.
Senate Bill number 2822, Mississippi Water Infrastructure Grant Program Act of 2022 establish.
Senator Hobson.
I move adoption of the conference, I move that we recommit this item for further conference.
Motion is we recommit. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Bill's recommitted. The conference report's recommitted. Senator Hobson.
Thank you. Now I move that we suspend the rules for immediate consideration of item 29 on supplemental calendar number 2.
The senator moves that we suspend the rules for item 29 on calendar number 2 of the supplemental calendar, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Senator Hobson,
I ask that the title be read.
please read the title.
House Bill number 1426, salary statutes, revise certain provisions relating to salaries of state employees and officials.
I move adoption of the conference report and ask that you recognize Senator Polk to explain.
Senator Polk, you're recognized to explain.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the bill that will raise salaries of all of our state elected officials. So if you will, I'll read out what will happen. But what happens does not occur until January 1 of 2024. So no one is involved that's currently elected until they come back for another term, if they do, or whomever takes their place, January 1 of 2024. So beginning on that date, the new salaries are as follows. The governor will be $160,000, Attorney General $150,000, the Secretary of State $120,000, the Commissioner of Insurance $150,000, State Treasurer $120,000, State Auditor of Public Accounts $150,000, Commissioner of Ag and Commerce $120,000, Transportation Commissioners $95,000, Public Service Commissioners $95,000. Now, those are the changes that will occur January 1st, 2024. Until that date, state official, elected officials' salaries will remain the same as they are today. On top of this, a lot of the salaries of our employees in those departments are tied to the director's salary or the agency head's salary or the elected official's salary. So therefore, what this bill will also do is give leeway for the personnel board to be able to approve raises for those individuals who we're losing a lot of them because they're tied to that salary and they can't go higher than that. So this bill, that's basically all it does, is increase the salaries of state elected officials and also gives leeway until the official salary goes up in January of 24. If we pass the bill, then it will be tied back to these salaries. If there are no questions, I'd like to use the morning roll call for the passage.
You have a couple of questions or three. Senator Younger, question?
Friendly question, please, Mr. President.
Yield to Senator Younger.
No, I did not.
Senator Younger. Oh, I'm sorry, did you vote?
May I make one amendment to what I just said?
Yes.
One thing that I did leave out is the lieutenant governor's salary will be raised to $85,000, and the speaker's salary is tied to the lieutenant governor's salary, so his salary would go to $85,000 also. And these are recommendations from the personnel board. So it's the same thing we've been doing with SEC 2 or Square or whatever we call that thing. I like to call it Sunbelt 1, but we'll go with that. But this is recommended as compared to other states and entities.
Okay, now Senator, do you yield to Senator Younger?
Yes.
Senator Younger.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So everybody's getting a salary increase except for the legislature?
That is correct, including the speaker.
I feel like a stepchild. Thank you.
Amazingly, all the other people that had punched their button just got off. Here's one. Senator Seymour. Senator Seymour, do you have a question?
One question, Mr. President.
Did you yield, Senator Seymour?
I do.
Senator Seymour.
Mr. Chairman, you say this is tied directly into some of the directors of the agencies?
Some of the salaries of employees, especially in the Attorney General's office, attorneys and people like that, they're tied to the agency head or the elected official's salary. And therefore, they cannot get high enough for them to be able to remain at the agency.
I thought the law was changed on that because we have a lot of our directors that are agency heads that are making well above what the governor is making now.
It's not tied necessarily to the governors, it is to the director of that agency. In other words, the Attorney General's salary is precluding us from being able to give more to the attorneys on her staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Norwood, do you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President.
You yield to Senator Norwood.
I do.
Thanks, Senator Pope. Senator Pope, was there any discussion or any conversation regarding, these are full-time positions, correct?
Yes.
Or there any discussion regarding, rationale as to why pay raise for the legislature would not be included?
To my knowledge, there was not discussion. If you remember, we did have a situation earlier this year to try to give us some relief, and that failed.
Okay, but you would agree that if we increase the salaries, it may also keep a lot of us from leaving as well, right?
If the voters like us, it would keep us from leaving.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks, Senator Pope.
Okay, seeing no other questions, Senator, you move to adopt?
Move to adopt on morning roll call.
Senator moves that we adopt the conference report by use of morning roll call. Anyone object to this procedure? Does anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Seeing none, please, Senator Hill is present. Anyone else? Senator Seymour as no. Anyone else? Senator Chisholm as present. Senator Tate as present. Anyone else? Seeing Senator Bryan? You can, this is, yes, sir, we're taking a vote. Is that a no? Senator Bryan as no. Anyone else? Seeing no others, please record all others. Oh, Senator Hill wishes to change to no. Would you like to read those off, Mr. Clerk? Make sure we have the
Voting nay, Chisholm. No. Okay, voting present, Chisholm and Tate. Voting nay, Hill, Seymour, and Bryan.
Okay. Okay, based on that, all other present, by use of morning roll call, will be voting as aye. Okay, Senator Hobson.
Hold on one second, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we suspend the rules to go to item 27 on supplemental calendar number 2.
Senator moves that we suspend the rules, go to item 27 on the supplemental calendar number 2. Anyone object? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator,
I ask that the title be read.
please read the title.
House Bill number 1421, ARPA Rural Water Associations Infrastructure Grant Programs established under the Department of Health.
Senator Hobson.
Move adoption of the conference report and ask that you recognize Senator Polk to explain.
Senator Polk, you're recognized to explain the conference report.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the general bill to authorize the Department of Health to be able to issue grants to the different water associations in Mississippi. The bill will only allow a maximum of $2.5 million per association to receive a grant. It does not require any matching funds. It also requires that 20% of the funds for the program should be obligated to projects that have completed plans and are ready to proceed, which means those who are prepared and ready would get first choice on the first 20% of the funding. Not more than 5% of the funds can be used by the Department of Health for administrative costs. The department shall be exempt from any requirements under the PPRB for personal or professional service contracts. This subsection shall stand repealed on July 1st, 2026. And what that is be able to take them to where they can hire personnel pretty much as needed until 2026 for this particular program. This act shall take effect and be enforced from and after its passage. Could we just have 1 second, Mr. President? Was it? Okay. All right. That's a summation of the bill. If there are no questions, I'd like to use the morning roll call for passage of the report.
You have a couple of questions, Senator. Senator Hill, do you have a question?
I do have a question.
Do you yield, Senator
I
Hill?
do.
Senator Hill.
Thank you. On this sheet that was handed out on coronavirus recovery funds, I know this is 1421, but under rural water associations under the health department, this had HB 1538 listed, and it had rural water associations and utility authorities lumped together. So where are utility authorities going to be, in a different bill?
Utility authorities have been added to 2822, which is the other
Big bill?
infrastructure. The big
Okay, thank you.
Senator Kelvin Butler, do you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Do you yield, Senator Butler?
I do.
Senator
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Polk. All right, Senator Polk, initially, when we was talking about these ARPA bills with the water and sewer, we were talking about dollar for dollar.
That is correct, but we never, we had dollar for dollar, but of course, water associations did not get ARPA funds, so they were going to have to come up with their own funding.
Right, so now this will be a grant.
That's correct.
And they would have to be applied for, and how you said that it was going to be distributed?
If the health department will determine which projects are worthy. They have several things here, and I could read them to you, of considerations they must consider, among other things, that policies they may put in place.
And then you also say that if maybe they already have a project started.
Yes.
That,
well, the plan's ready. I believe it reads, the intent of the legislature is the first fiscal year after the effective date of this act, 20% of the funds for the program be obligated to projects that have completed plans and are ready to proceed.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Senator Polk.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Sparks at Senator Hobson's desk. Do you
Thank
have a question?
A question, yes, thank you.
Do you yield for a question?
I do.
Senator Sparks.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to make sure I understand, because you've worked very hard on several vehicles for ARPA funds. This is for the rural water associations across the state, correct?
That is correct.
And as I understand it, there's a $2.5 million cap on a individual association under this grant program.
That is correct.
Is there any requirement of size of a water association, max or minimum size?
There is not in this bill.
So any water association out there could apply for up to $2.5 million of grants?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Turner Ford, do you have a question?
I do, Mr. President.
Do you yield, Senator Turner Ford?
I do.
Senator Turner Ford.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your description of the program, you mentioned a percentage, and I was trying to find it in the conference report. Could you just repeat that, please?
Yes. And that is on line 30. And what that is the intention of legislation, the first fiscal year after the effective date, 20% of the funds for the program be obligated to projects that have completed plans and are ready to proceed.
Is there a certain amount of time that's associated with the 20% in terms of application deadline or?
No, the application deadline will be set by the health department.
So what happens if the 20% is exhausted? I guess I'm trying to understand the significance of the 20%.
I think what they're doing is, this was the House version of what we did. They wanted the 20%, those that are shovel ready, to go ahead and get the funds and start work. Those that are not ready, shovel ready, would get 80% of the funds for sure, and would be able to be spent later. So it gives them more time to prepare their plans and get them in.
Thank you. Senator.
Senator Derek Simmons, do you have a question?
Yes, Mr. President.
You yield, Senator Simmons.
I do.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for yielding. I have a follow-up question regarding how do you determine if it's shovel ready? Like, this bill becomes effective July 1st?
That is, no, it becomes effective upon passage.
Upon passage? Is it upon passage?
That's correct.
Okay. So shovel ready will be at the moment that this bill becomes law, or would it be at some point in time in the application process?
It would be my understanding that after the health department actually sets their policies of when their deadline for applications would be, that would be the immediate date that you would use.
And is there some language in the bill, in the conference report, that would indicate what is shovel ready?
Well, the best identification of shovel ready is that they have completed plans and are ready to proceed. That is on line 29, I believe. Projects that have completed plans and specifications, acquired all necessary land and/or easements, and are ready to proceed to construction. That's on 32, basically, line 32.
And I guess I'm raising the question because for water associations that we may represent in our districts back at home, who may raise a question, what do I do to get shovel ready by the time the regulations are promulgated by the Department of Health? I guess I'm trying to see, how do we advise those?
Hurry.
Okay. Thank you. I understand. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Horn, do you have a question?
Question.
Do you yield, Senator Horn?
I do.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Polk, what is the definition of rural water association? And I'll tell you why I'm asking that question. I have a small town in my district that owns and manages its own water its own water program. Would they qualify as a rural water association?
So is it an incorporated community?
Yes.
Then they would, if they own the system, then they would fall under the city-county ARPA bill, which will be 2822, which we will be presenting most probably tomorrow.
Yeah, but my point is that what they need in the way of improvements to their water system is going to cost a whole lot more than getting what they're putting in plus qualifying for double the match. I assume that that's still a part of the original legislation that you presented at the beginning of the session.
It will be.
And so I think they would wind up getting maybe $300,000 altogether. And the improvements that they need for their water program is a lot more expensive than that. So is there any language in here that would make it possible for that small community, it's in a rural area, it's got a water problem, to be able to take advantage of this program?
I would think not. I'm certainly not an attorney, but a water association is a nonprofit that is owned by its own consumers.
Right.
Similar to a cooperative electric.
Right, I understand that. And I was just wanting to find out if a community that's got the situation that one of my communities has, if they would be able to qualify also. Because as I understand it, communities that are in the other program may not have, maybe they don't have a water, their water association is not getting any money out of that program. I was just trying to see if a community that has the dilemma that my community has would qualify for this grant program.
I would think not.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Pogus, no other questions. Would you like to move for adoption?
Use of the morning roll call on adoption.
Senator moves that we adopt a conference report by use of morning roll call. Anyone object to this procedure? Anyone wish to be recorded as voting no? Seeing none, please record all present by the use of morning roll call as voting aye. The bill is passed.
Yeah.
Senator Hobson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we suspend the rules for immediate consideration of item 15 on supplemental calendar 2 today.
Senator moves that we suspend the rules and go to item 15 on calendar number 2. Anyone object? All in favor say aye. All opposed no. The ayes have it. Senator Hobson.
Thank you, Mr. President.
On item 15.
I ask that the title be read.
Please read the title.
3015, Appropriation Agriculture and Commerce Department of.
Senator Hobson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to go over the bill, and then we've got one correction that needs to be made. Total and final action on the Department of Ag and Commerce general support bill is $23,749,351. Includes $9,099,803 of general funds. This does include the restoration of cut vacant pens. It includes the $400,000 for the Farms and Families program. Actually, it's supposed to be renamed the, we're going to make that correction in a minute. It's got the one ag theft pen, $53,598 for an ag theft officer. Includes $50,000 for equipment for the ag theft building. That's capital expense funds. It does include the salary progressions and the health insurance premiums. And then, Mr. President, I do have a correction to that language correction that hopefully should be on the screen.
Okay. So we need unanimous consent for corrections.
Yes.
As per on screen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed no.
It should be if you see it, Mississippi Healthy Food and Families Program. Okay, with that correction, Mr. President, if there are any questions, I will yield.
Are there any questions?
If none, I move adoption of the conference report by use of the morning roll call.
Senator moves for adoption of the conference report by the use of morning roll call. Does anyone object to this procedure? Would anyone like to be recorded as voting no? Seeing none, please record all present by the use of morning roll call as voting aye. The conference report is passed. Senator Hobson.
And last bill I will take up today, I know y'all are glad, but it's asked that we reconsider the vote, or actually first to suspend the rules to go back to item 47 on supplemental calendar number 1 today. Senate Bill 3023.
Senator moves that we suspend the rules, go back to item 47 on supplemental calendar number 1. Any objection? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Hobson,
Thank you. Ask that the title be read.
please read the title.
Senate Bill number 3023, Appropriation Employment Security Department of.
Senator Hobson.
Thank you, Mr. President. We've already adopted this bill, and I'm seeking unanimous consent to make a change. And I'd like to amend line 20, deleting the number 434 and inserting in lieu thereof the number 479. And then amend on line 21, deleting the number 180 and inserting in lieu thereof the number 135. That's on the Department of Employment Security bill that we passed earlier. I'll yield for questions. Otherwise, I request unanimous consent for those corrections.
Senator moves to unanimous consent. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senator Hobson.
Now I move adoption of the conference report. I don't know if I need to go back and readopt, but readoption of the conference report I don't. Just making the changes, so we don't need to do that. So,
Wait a minute.
yes, I think I recommitted. Hold on one second.
Yes, that was what Pope had.
Okay. All right. Senator Hobson.
Okay, I think y'all have seen me enough up here today, so I think I'm going to rest now. So, thank you, Mr.
Okay.
President.
All right. Thank you. Good job. All right. Any announcements? Seeing no announcements, Senator Polk. Oh, I'm sorry, Senator Polk. Can you hold on just a minute? I think Senator Norwood has an announcement.
Mr. President, join in memory.
You recognize.
On this day, 1968, Martin Luther King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee, and I'd like for us to adjourn in his memory on this day.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Hobson.
Adjournment memory, Mr. President.
You're recognized.
When the Senate adjourns today, I ask that we do so in memory of longtime funeral home director and celebrity in Vicksburg, Warren County, Mr. Charles Riles.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Boyd.
Adjourn in memory.
You recognize.
When the Senate adjourns today, I'd ask y'all to help us adjourn in memory of Dr. John Fullenwater of Oxford, a longtime physician in Oxford and pathologist.
Thank you, Senator. I believe that's it. Now, Senator Polk.
No, Senator Blunt.
Oh, I'm sorry. Senator Blunt? Sorry about
Adjourn in memory, Mr. President.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. When the Senate adjourns today, I would ask that we do so in memory of Dr. Jane Lampton Moore, respected physician here in Jackson, a mother of 3 young children who passed away just a few days ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Okay, is that all? All right. Now, let's see. Senator Polk.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I move the Senate stand in recess until the last conference report is filed, at which time the journal will reflect. We're adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Senator moves we stand in recess until the last committee report is filed, at which time we stand adjourned until 10 a.m. tomorrow. All in favor say aye. All opposed no. The ayes have it. We adjourn until 10 a.m.